family silver. We, the Czechs, are proud of it. We call ourselves the nation of musicians and poets. We boast about Czech beer, Prague, folk traditions, the winged arrow of Mr. Škoda, or the contact lenses of Mr. Viktorla. We also never forget to pride ourselves on Czech glass. However, there are only a few Czechs who can talk about Czech glass like Mr. Tom and his son. In fact, they are the fourth generation of the Tom family to produce Czech glass. Not only people in Bohemia, but also people from Ecuador to Japan to Brazil have been made happy by the beauty of glass. The Toms care for their family silver with a love of craft and a respect for the skills of their ancestors. Each product which leaves their glassworks is an original. Each bears the mark of the many hands which have given it through a long process of the routine skill of a master, shape, glitter, color, and grace. The art of glass masters. Glass is traditionally formed through blowing a glass blob into a two-piece wooden mold. It is an ancient method that was being used as early as the 5th century BC. The mold gives the glass its form. Most products which have a more complicated shape cannot be made in any other way than by blowing into a mold. The basic material for mold production is hard beech wood. The wood must be free of knots and with a small core. Only then is it suitable for molds designed for large products. Pear wood has a similar structure to beech wood. It's used for mold manufacture for smaller products such as glass stoppers or small glasses. Molds for pressed glass products are made of cast iron. An engineering drawing, an existing pattern, or a new model may serve as a template. First, a foundry template has to be made from a specific mass which will result in a cast of cast iron or bronze. The rough shape of the cast still has to go through many operations before it's filled with molten glass. It has to be milled, ground, lathed, and drilled. A copying milling cutter is a great help in producing a larger number of identical molds. The manufacture of each mold is finished by chopping, filing, and final polishing, all done by hand. Molds can be single-pieced or multi-pieced. One of many conditions for creating perfect glass beauties is a well-made mold. Every glass batch contains the same basic ingredients: silicon dioxide, sodium oxide, and calcium oxide. Naturally, their exact ratio and composition is regarded by every glassworks owner to be strictly confidential. Apart from the father and the son of the Tom family, only the foreman knows this company secret. A mixture of glass pieces is added to the glass batch. It usually represents about 1/3 of the total batch amount. Shovels are used to fill small furnaces, while large furnaces have two-shelled ducts cooled with water which lead into these large furnaces. The glass batch is put into the furnace heated to 1340 degrees Celsius. The batch is put into the furnace in two separate halves in order for it to melt well. The melting process is controlled by a computer program, but it cannot be done without the foreman's oversight. It is not just a glassmaker's legend that the melting process proceeds differently during a storm and in a yet different way when the night is full of stars. Not only must the foreman be a great engineer, but he must also be a bit of an alchemist. The melting process is finished at around 1 a.m. so that a new glass batch can cool down till morning to the right operation temperature. The mold and the batch are ready. Now, it's time for the glass blowers to do their job. Since the time of the Phoenicians, their main helper has been the blowpipe. The blowpipe with a mouthpiece, which can be of various diameters and lengths, is usually about 150 centimeters long. However, shorter pipes are used for smaller products. The end of the pipe must be made from a special material which does not react with glass. Iron, for instance, would discolor the glass with a shade of green. Before the actual blowing process starts, the glass worker, or kerblach, has to place a molten portion of the glass, called a gather, onto the blowpipe. Only then is the final amount of mass added to it. The molten glass is then shaped and inflated into a mold. Smaller products need a higher temperature in the furnace. Therefore, they are the first ones to start with in the morning. Then, as the furnace cools down gradually, it is the larger pieces' turn. It is not skill and physical strength alone, but also the mutual teamwork of glass masters that give rise to the crystal art pieces. And what all can be produced? Very much indeed. Vases, bowls, jugs, goblets, flagons, but also the component parts of chandeliers. But now, let's go back to the glassworks. Before the start of the production of pressed products, the cast iron mold has to be prepared and warmed up. Pressing starts with taking the molten glass from the furnace. The press operator then cuts a precise amount of it and presses the product manually. Every new mold has to go through the trial process of glass making. Any possible defects are corrected on the spot. However, the human eye and feel are still the best tools for quality inspection and a possible adjustment of the product. A small spinning furnace, which the glassmakers call a trommel, can be used to affix the stem to a table bowl. It is also used for other special operations. The neck of a bottle, the spout of a carafe, or a pitcher are all made here. Glass has to cool off slowly. In order that the cooling process goes properly, each product is placed into a cooling furnace. Products with thick sides are cooled down at 450 degrees Celsius. Pieces with thin sides, such as glasses and pouring glasses, at 415 degrees. In the evening, when the products have cooled off, they're ready for further processing. Glassmakers are real masters of freehand. They're able to make almost anything from crystal. After being taken out of the furnace, the product is still unsightly and shapeless. We can hardly recognize what it's going to turn out to be. There's still a long journey awaiting the product until it becomes a transparent beauty. First, the surplus of glass has to be removed from it in a process called cracking. This happens in a separate room. An incision is made into the glass with a diamond point, and a flame finishes the work. This process is not applied at removing the surplus of products of irregular shapes. In those cases, it's trimmed by hand or with a diamond sole. It is, for example, angular bowls, jugs, small vases, or these baskets that have to undergo this procedure. shaiba is a horizontal disc grinder. The disc is made of cast iron and silicon carbide onto which flows an abrasive of varied roughness. The grinder is used for evening, smoothing, and grinding the bottoms and tops of glasses. Water is used to cool the product off, and water also takes away the material which was ground off. One more interesting thing is created on the grinder. The same cone size of the outside and inside of bottles and stoppers is ground here. One stopper for each bottle. Every pair an original. After smoothing on the grinder, we can see what shape the glass is going to have and what purpose it's going to serve. This, for example, is going to be a beautiful carafe. Before it's put into the hands of glass cutters by grinding machines, it has to be taken care of by a different pair of capable hands. Symmetrical products travel onto a division machine with a turnable device. This is where a simple and regular network of vertical and horizontal lines is made, which is used as a template by glass cutters to create the cuts. However, patterns for asymmetrical and irregular products such as baskets or angular bowls have to be drawn by hand. Grinders by grinding machines. Patience, precision, firm hands, a feel for shape. On a grinding wheel, they're grinding the glass which has already gone through many hands and for which many hands await. Stone grinding, the pride of the glassworks, is done on wheels with various endings. Wedge-shaped cuts can have various depths as well as widths, and their combination creates scope for a beautiful play of light and colors. Radius discs, which create large arched surfaces, are used for glass stems, bottlenecks, or bowl bottoms. Synthetic diamonds give the discs their sharpness. However, the beauty of the glass comes mainly from human hands. Where has the glow and glitter of the leaded glass gone? Why is everything suddenly so gray and unsightly? While working on it, the cutters have covered the glass with a fine glass dust, which now has to be removed. Vases and glasses can enjoy a bath now. It's going to be warm, chemical, and very efficient. The bath consists of 6 phases, an acidic bath always alternating with a warm water rinse. After 1 hour, during which the entire process is controlled by a computer, the glass is cleaned, polished, and ready for further decoration. Further decoration, matting, is a very fine, almost delicate task. Therefore, it's often carried out by women. Men do this job only when a large piece has to be matted, for example, a big heavy vase. Small mat fillings are created in the pattern through the matting process. Natural electric discs are used. When finer cuts have to be achieved in a complex fine pattern, diamond discs are used. We already know shaiba, the horizontal disc grinder. We need it now for further perfection of the glass wonder. The crowns and upper parts of the products have to be polished until they're smooth and shiny. A horizontal foam disc smooths glass with pumice and water. The groomed glass is almost ready for shipping, unless designed for painting. Crystal chandeliers and lights began to be manufactured in the Czech lands at the beginning of the 18th century, and they have always been a symbol of luxury. Depending on type and size, a chandelier consists of approximately 50 pieces of glass parts, 120 pieces of metal parts, and up to 1,000 pieces of crystal pendants. Pendants have not only an aesthetic function, but they also increase the luminosity of the chandelier. Crystal chandeliers have not disappeared. Their popularity is increasing again, and they are even finding their place in modern interiors. Before the glass is given a painted design, it has to go through a final inspection and adjustment. First, special liquid gold, which has to withstand the heat of the furnace and be abrasion resistant, is applied to the product. Afterwards, flowers are painted onto the fired golden undercoat and the product goes into the furnace again. Some designs are so complicated that they have to be fired 4 times in total. Finished, born from sand, fire, colors, and human craft. One more bath, soaping, and polishing, the last one. Then, simply wrap into the safety of silk paper and put into a box. They often travel far, so they have to be stored so that they reach their destination in their original beauty. In order that they know where they were born, they are given name tags for the journey, and also a wish. May they be cherished and bring joy.